Hello, my fellow Game of Thrones nerds. This is me, Daniel, for one of the last times on my Game of Thrones reviews. But this one's actually going to be a little bit different because as I did my reaction video, I haven't been able to perfect it, so I still have that coming through. But right now, for the series finale, I thought I would do my top 5 and least favorite 5 not moments, but my just things I loved and hated through the whole season. Because there was definitely a lot of those. I thought I should do this one and get it up because it's very important to me. This season was one of my least favorite, unfortunately. I mean, with 6 episodes, you definitely don't have as much material to work with, but I thought they were going to do it justice more than what came through. But as a lot of us know, that's not what happened. I still liked it. One of the better endings of any series I've had the pleasure of watching, but it just wasn't where I thought it was going to go. I mean, I've had disappointments in Game of Thrones before, but not to this extent. I mean, the Red Wedding was a disappointment. It was more of a shock. Ned Stark's beheading, more of a shock, not a disappointment. It was just leeway to more things. But with this, it was just, it wasn't foreseen, and also just wasn't the right direction, I feel like. But I still think the effects, the acting, the production, I think did very well with what they had. Writing had a lot to more imagine. Sorry, D&D. You guys are great guys. You probably will do great with Star Wars, but just, I feel like you rushed it because you didn't have any more material to work with. So without further ado, I'm going to start it all off. My top 5 favorite things I loved in the season. I'll start with that. I mean, you gotta start with the glass half full kind of thing. So number 1, love the enemies in this season. From the Night King to Cersei to even Dany. I mean, they were all great enemies. You didn't really see how they were coming and what their end would be. No one really would. But what they did really affected the Seven Kingdoms through and through. It's the Night King destroyed a lot of the North, which in turn affected the war to come with the South. Cersei destroyed one of Dany's dragons, which in turn turned her into her own enemy. And Dany, being the Night Queen, or not, sorry, not the Night Queen, the Mad Queen, sorry. Her becoming the Mad Queen turned Jon into what I think is the prince that was promised. I mean, I predicted in the last video, I thought he was always going to be the prince that was promised, but I thought he'd be the king after that. I thought a prince would turn to a king, but unfortunately that's not what happened. The show tried to throw a curveball at you and put a different king there. But Jon was always the king, or the prince that was promised. Another thing I loved was the battles. I loved Winterfell, the Battle of Winterfell, and I loved the Bells, aka the Battle of King's Landing. Great effects, great acting, great ending to each of them. I didn't love everything about it, but it was definitely a plus. They always know how to do fights. They always know how to do battles. I think they were all perfect in their own way. Especially in the Bells, where it reflected the Battle of the Bastards, where Jon held up against the forces and the Golden Company. The guy ran. It just shows you one man against another man kind of thing. I love those kind of visual nuances. The next one I love was I love Jon's arc. I know a lot of us didn't. I mean, it was kind of lame how he ended for some people, but George R.R. loves a great big circle. Jon, all at the beginning, wanted to be a Night's Watchman. From episode 1, he always wanted to be a Night's Watchman, and he progressed to the leader of them. Then he went to the King of the North, and then just progressed from there, and he almost became king of some kingdoms. But in the end, he always wanted to just be a Night's Watchman. So I like his arc where it circled back around, and he is now a Night's Watchman again, because get what you wish for, people. I mean, and at that point, it really just came down to what he wanted. And like he said, he belonged in the North. Or, sorry, Tormund said that. Number 4 would be the effects. You guys did a great job with what you had. All the battles were great. Even the deaths were great. From Cersei's death to Theon's death to everyone's, not arc, but everyone's progression and everything. Great job. Sorry, I'm talking about effects more. Drogon was, and the dragons were great. Even going back to Ghost, they did a great job with him at the end with the missing ear. Really cool, I think. And just the battles were just really cool to look at. I mean, you had to turn up your brightness for the Battle of Winterfell, but once you got to see it, you saw a lot of good. And lastly, what I loved was, I love the series as a whole. I mean, we're all going to complain about season 8, but they did, I feel like, 8 really good seasons. I mean, yes, some were lesser than the others, but man, you could really poke at other series as a whole and be like, they just ruined it. They didn't ruin it at all. They didn't live up to the hype in the end, but they still did really good. D&D did a really good job at writing. And yeah, they had more material to work with, and they knew how it should end or how it would end. But man, I would watch a series over and over again. If you're a real Game of Thrones fan and you're gonna say that you won't watch this whole thing through and through again, then you're not a real Game of Thrones fan, I feel like, because you were just trying to live up to the hype. And sorry, but season 5 wasn't my favorite. Season 2 was kind of boring. Season 8 wasn't the greatest because they just had to wrap stuff up. But through and through, they did a great job. I mean, you can curse them all you want. You can say that they did this and that. I mean, but really, the whole series for 9 years did a great job. From 2010 to 2019, I was hyped. I mean, great job, guys. I give you applause on that one. I wouldn't have written it better myself, and I am an okay writer, but you guys are great writers. And even George R. You are the best of the best. So now I'm going to go down to the glass half empty. That's how I got to do it sometimes. But I'm not going to dwell on too much of it, but there is a little bit more to pinpoint. That was bad, that was good, then that was good. But you, like I said, you still gotta love what they did great. So number 1 would be the Rush timeline. I don't know why they chose 6 episodes for this season, but they did. Like I think is for the lack of material. One of my main pinpoints would be episode 1. Is where they had so much clustered into just one episode when they could have really spaced it out into 2 or 3. That would have made 8 episodes. That would have been nice for all of us. So, just down to episode 1, John rides Rhaegal. That could have been an ending in itself, but they threw that in the middle of an episode. In comparison, when Dany first rode Drogon, she did that in the end of an episode of season 5. That's crazy. I mean, that took her 5 seasons to ride one dragon. And then Jon sees one in about 2 seasons, a season and a half, and is just up on it like it's no one's business. The next would be Jon reuniting with his family, Bran and Arya. He really could have, I mean, not him, but they could have spaced that out even more. Like I said, that could have been a bigger entrance of Jon and Arya, especially. They had such a connection, but they squished it into like a 5-minute window. And Theon rescuing Yara. I mean, again, squished to a 5-minute window when that could have been literally 15 minutes in its own. It was great. I liked it. But it wasn't where it should have been. And then the ending when Jaime arrives, he could have, I mean, they could have had dialogue in it. But they really just pushed it through and made it like a 1-minute thing. I mean, really, they could at least discussed the pushing out of the window. They never even discussed it. Like, dude, you started this. You're lucky I'm who I am now. Sorry, I'm talking as Bran, but yeah, they could have had way more to do to go with it. And lastly, in the rush in episode 1, Jon becoming or learning that he's Aegon is like mind baffling. But they really were just like, oh, rush it through. 5 minutes later, he knows and he's okay with it and he accepts it. But, and then the ending was really rushed with Dany turning into the Mad Queen and just destroying everyone without any dialogue. She just went for all action. They could have made that could have been a whole episode in its own, but they made that 20 minutes of it. So sorry, but that's one of my big faults on it. Number 2 would be the lack of major deaths. The last Stark that died was in the Battle of the Bastards, and that was like the least of the Starks. But you kind of felt like in the Battle of the Battle of Winterfell, and even the Bells, that episode, that no one was really in danger that was not going to die in the end. Like, I felt like a Stark should have died in this season, and really none of it did. I feel like Arya had her arc, but it never came through. And Grey Worm really had no purpose after where he ended, but they still let him just leave, like after he was okay with just sending a man. He sent Jon to the Wall, even though Grey Worm doesn't even know what the Wall really is. Like, they're like, hey, the Wall's a punishment. It's really bad for him. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, you can't love anyone. You can't birth a child, blah, blah, and Grey Worm's like, perfect. It's like, no, Grey Worm would be like, chop his dick off. Like, sorry for my language, but he's had so much worse in his life, and then he's like, oh, you know what's really bad for a guy? Sending him cold. He's been to the cold. Why would he care about just sending someone to a colder place that's been there? But I mean, that was such a bad arc for Grey Worm. It was, yeah, I get he wanted to go to Noth, but whatever. And then number 3 would be the plot holes. It was just, they didn't give anyone enough substance in it, and it really took away from the whole show. From the Night King to Danny, to John, to everyone, there were just too many plot holes to even pinpoint. I could go back right now, but I'm gonna have a bigger and better video for all the plot holes that they left undone. So that's gonna be one of my final videos for Game of Thrones. But yeah, wasn't great. They had too many of those, and so I'm just gonna keep going through because I made this video long enough already. Number 4 would be the loose ends, the big questions at the end, or that they never answered. Would be, why the White Walkers? Like, there's no answer for why they made the symbols, no answer for why really the Night King wanted to do what he did. He just did it for no memories of people. Really, could you just not, would he not just be happy with the giant section of land he had up there that, I mean, would keep all of his minions in place? And like, no, he just wants to wipe out everyone. And then what happens when he wipes out everyone? He wipes out no one, and he's just like ruling over no one and no memory. That really doesn't make sense. Why they Unsullied left so easily? They didn't know about the wall. I mean, they didn't care about the wall. The answer of why they just let Jon live was not smart, and why they would all follow him, Grey Worm, to the island of Nath, and why the Dothraki would actually just go with him too. Like, Dothraki only followed the call, and that was Danny. And now they're like, hey, well, you're in charge of everyone, so you'll just tell everyone where else to go. Didn't make sense. Just so easy for him. Like I said, rush production though. Arya's adventure, her whole arc didn't make sense to me. Why would she be a faceless man only to just kill the Freys? She could have killed the Freys in like 6 episodes. They were really just ignorant people anyways. It didn't take her, it shouldn't have taken her 2 seasons to put on a face to just kill some ignorant house. And why didn't she not use her faces afterwards to just do what she wanted? Now she's just so humbled and so stark that it just out the window. So the faceless men thing arc really didn't make any sense to me at all. What happened to Dario? I mean, is he just like, he heard about what's going on in Westeros? He's like, she dumped me, bro. Peace. Really, just ridiculous. I wish there would have been an ending to him as well, but like being in the Golden Company, her just seeing him kind of thing, that would have been way cooler than her just burning the whole Golden Company and not meaning anything. He was a part of the Essos soldiers. I felt like maybe he would have gone just to be back with her at some point, but they killed Dario off. Not really, but they destroyed him, his character, in the most non-subtle way. Also, why did they come back with the Night's Watch? There's obviously no more threat. I get it, they don't really know, but it's not, they know they killed the killer. Like, the last time they had like almost an agreement. Now they're just doing what they want. And so they made the Night's Watch for no good reason. The only reason was to just send Jon back to it, I felt like. It was just writing error. Again, they just wrote in the Night's Watch so Jon had a place to go. Gosh, not really smart. And why would you make the Night's Watch out of wildlings? Isn't the Night's Watch to go against wildlings? Bad writing again, I'm sorry. And Bran's arc, oh my gosh, so ridiculous. he was gone for a season, a whole of season 5, and then they just bring him back to be the Three-Eyed Raven, which is cool. But then this whole season, they just kind of dumped on him, and then they're like, "Hey, by the way, he's back in episode 6, so he can be king." If he really didn't want to be anything, he would just say, "No, this person deserves it," because I'm sure he could have found someone better. But now he's susceptible to whatever people want to tell him. I get he can see the future, but he knew, I feel like, there could have been someone better. Like, he would have been like, "Hey, I'm good, but this person's better. I've seen the future. I'm fine. And I will go watch over the whole world," kind of thing. But now he's just ruling over 6 kingdoms because he gave the one to his sister. Again, bad writing. And then lastly, the mistakes. I'm going to go quick through this. But the coffee cup. Sorry about that. But yeah, the coffee cup. Last mistake, or all mistakes I hated, were only a couple, but it was the coffee cup and the water bottles. We all saw them. We all didn't like them, but it happened. The coffee cup in episode 4. It wasn't a Starbucks, but it's some local thing. Blah blah blah. It doesn't matter. It was still a coffee cup. Like, good for you. You didn't go brand with it. Sorry, brand. You went brand with it at season 6, but you didn't go brand with it in season 4. Sorry, episode 8. And then lastly, the water bottles in episode 6. Really, 2 of them? Like, after you had 2 weeks after you made more mistakes, and you still made more mistakes. Wow. How do we get it before you guys do? You had almost 2 years to go through it, and you just shat the bed. I can't really say more than that, but I mean, also Danny's hair. For some reason, I saw that so easily. Her braids just changed between season 7 and season 8, but they were supposed to be a day or 2 apart. Like, who's braiding her hair that quickly? It's ridiculous. And really just poor editing sometimes. I mean, you couldn't let John pet Ghost one time, but you can another time because of money. That's so ignorant to me. It's like, you had money for dragons getting stabbed in the throat, but you couldn't throw a couple $100,000 at a good boy kind of pet. I mean, it is what it is, but so disappointing. But that's my top 5 and my least 5 of the whole series, or whole season of Game of Thrones, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think was even worse or better about the season in the comments below. Leave a like or dislike for what you think about this video, and I really appreciate you guys watching it, because this has been amazing to me for the past 2 months. I really enjoy doing the predictions, the reviews, everything. It's been a great season in whole for the most part. Ups and downs. It's like a roller coaster. But thank you guys for watching me. My next series I think I'm going to be doing is Black Mirror. Surprise, surprise. I hope you guys have been watching it, because it is a great series. It's 4 seasons deep. The 5th season comes out next month, and it's going to be great, I think. It's only like 3 or 4 episodes, but it is a great series. You guys should watch it. I'm going to be doing my recap of the previous episodes and my predictions for the new 3, even though that's more of a crapshoot than anything. But please, let me know what you guys think, and let me know, give me some opinions of what other series you guys would want me to watch, and review besides Breaking Bad, because that one's also coming up. But that was so long. But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Love you all. I've been Daniel. You've been awesome. Really appreciate it. Have a great Thursday night, and talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.